Welcome to your business in digital. Hey team, how are you guys doing this morning?
Morning. Good
Good morning.
morning.
I am super excited
So,
about today's show. It's going to be so good. So good. Oh my goodness. All right. So we are here at your business in digital. You know what? We got a jam-packed show. So we're going to start it. Let's get to the intro. Kind of always find myself doing a little
the whole
right?
need to be in
So
background.
so fun.
This
I
is
feel like I'm
true.
in the Rhythm Nation. All right, too much. Exactly. All right, so let me get this out of the way because I know it's important. So, guys, welcome to your business in digital. We want to make sure that you connect with us, right? Connect with us on YouTube, connect with us on LinkedIn, connect with us everywhere podcasts are, Spotify, Apple, all the places. We want you to, tell a friend about the show, right? Tell a friend, tell a CMO, tell a CEO, tell a CFO, tell an executive, tell a business owner about the show, Your Business in Digital. This is where we help you connect all the dots, right? We want to make sure that you're able to translate what you're doing offline into digital and start really seeing that ROI, seeing the return on investment, start seeing the money in the bank rolling in. We want to move you way beyond the likes and follows to making sure that digital aligns with your business goals. We want you to go back to your CEO and say that digital increased my revenue by 10%, it increased my revenue by 20%. Super important that that is working for you and your business. And it's not just a supplement, or it's not just something that you're like, hey, we got to be there, we got to be in this space. We want it to be truly effective. So listen to us, follow us. All right. So, quick recap because, last show was crazy fun. We talked about B2B strategies. So, we talked about the fundamentals and components of B2B marketing campaigns. We talked about the complexity of the customer journey, right? Because it is a complex journey. There's so many things you have to consider, so many personas, the influencer persona, the person who's actually buying, the business persona. So, there are a lot of considerations as you're moving through the B2B customer journey. We talked about the importance of case studies and white papers. You need that street cred. You need things out there where people feel like, hey, they've done this before. Here's how it worked. It's really important that you are able to give the business the reassurance that you can actually get this done. So you want to make sure that you have that in your toolkit. We just finished a huge case study, which I'm calling our case manifesto, and it is something that we're going to use going forward to get in front of clients to share that information, to say, hey, we did this project from beginning to end. Here are all the parts and here were the results. So it really puts our process in place and shows how holistic our strategies are. Understanding the key players in a B2B strategy is so important, right? Again, I mentioned those personas before. So you want to make sure you understand all the players. Who's the CEO? Who's the CFO? Michelle talked about it. There should be no surprises, right? Unless they bring somebody like, back way back that it just wasn't on the list. There should be no surprises. You should understand who all the players are so that you can really tailor your conversation, your customer journey to that, right? You want to make sure that you're also connecting the dots between offline and online. And then looking at evaluating the strategy. Yes, the dollars in the bank matter, but looking at all the parts to see, are you pulling in the right leads? Could you really maybe convert one or two more leads? Could you tighten up your customer journey? Evaluate the success and see where you can optimize. So that was a recap of our last show, all talking about B2B digital marketing strategy. But that was really a good show. I felt like there was so much information in that show, and it was such a great conversation piece, right? I did an interview yesterday and I mentioned it. I was like, B2B strategies, because it seemed so relevant at the time. And, it was talking about relevant content, all those things. So it was just like, I mentioned the B2B strategies. I was like, we just did this thing talking about B2B strategies. And so it was coming out my mouth. I'm like, wow. It's relevant for the people that we're talking to, our target audience as well.
Great show on Monday for sure, for sure. As you highlighted, we commonly hear B2C and we don't hear B2B enough. And a lot of business owners sit in that seat and say, well, yeah, that's for if you have an e-commerce store, if I'm selling products, and this is absolutely a strategy, and a specific one at that. So great show on Monday. If you haven't heard it, definitely listen in.
100%. So, all right, well, I know it's time for our hot topics. What do we have happening this morning? Can I get some noise? Let's go. Yay, hot topics. All the things. So what are we talking about this morning?
Well, I have been excited I've been holding, I think I mentioned this in one of our internal meetings, that I wanted to have a conversation about Miss Beyonce Knowles-Carter. This one is actually what I've been fascinated about in this instance, is how she has just manifested a business model that we should, as small business owners, sit back and take a look at and understand how we can not replicate it, but take notes from it to apply in different ways to our business. I'm specifically speaking about this Renaissance album and tour, and I'm dating myself as I say album, but as she is moving towards her next stage and how she has planned this out. This album for Renaissance dropped, I believe, last July in 2022. And she put it out there in the Beyonce way, in a way that was very unusual, as usual, for dropping new music in the industry. She then announced this tour, and she has been on this tour since May. And if I recall right, she has moved in this very short period from May until September through I believe it is 56 different dates in 39 cities, and earned $579 million worldwide, while employing 300 crew members for this enterprise, and earned money not just for her and her crew members, but Parkwood Entertainment is her vested interest. So she's earning money in multiple ways while also employing her daughter. So she is spreading the love while bringing music to us, and had this viral moment across everything. What I thought was really fascinating about this, that we as business owners can learn from, Nia's, if you can move through this, is that she chose to make sure on the front end to think through how she was going to plan this to have not only revenue come through in multiple ways, but how she was going to stretch this moment that she had with this album and this tour to move across multiple years. This one thing has many moving parts in it. And if you notice, while she was on the clip, and I don't know how you could not notice it in this day and age, because everybody was posting things about this in a social media platform, and even in the news, but she was always in the planning and executing mode. That's point number one. That's a lesson for us in small business. Remain in planning and execution mode. While she was on tour, the cameras that were floating around her were not just to push content and make her large and visible on the extreme screens that she had for her tour stage, but she was indeed filming content for her movie, the Renaissance Tour movie that will be in theater shortly. What she was also doing is using that content to tease us out. She was providing viral moments for us so that we would have out in the stratosphere us speaking about her and her tour and the next tour date, allowing people to gain momentum, participate, and pull people into her concert to be excited for the next tour date. There were a number of people that had such a great experience that they were purchasing multiple tickets in other cities and posting that information and then teasing things out. She waited and planned for the next stage but planned it in such a way that she kept us on the edge of our seats. She, if you don't mind moving to the next slide, Nia, one of the things that she did before she walked off that stage in Kansas City, which was her last stop, there was a big screen that showed the Renaissance movie coming to a theater near you. The third point for us is an ABC in sales that we speak to all the time. Always be closing. She used that very final show moment at almost the very end, right before she walked off the stage, to post. The movie will be out on December 1st. People were screen capturing that and posting that everywhere. And then immediately post-show the next day, there was information for us to point, click, find a theater near us, and to, in advance, purchase a ticket for the show dates, starting not just December 1st, but in my neighborhood, November 30th. So she had planned her information, and while she was on stage, had people executing the next phase of her moment with this one topic, Renaissance album. So I think for us as small business owners, this was a key moment. This is something for us to sit back and take a note or 3 or 4 or 5 and implement into our worlds, because this was just not this grand tour of $579 million that we need to seek to replicate. But the lesson for us is to take a look at the pre-planning component of it, understand and niche down and understand what our lane is. And then from that moment, say, how do I now get this out in multi-channel? What are the separate revenue streams? How do I continue to have these moments to move this forward and understand the potential lifespan of that one topic, that one line of business that we have, and work it until it can't be worked anymore? Always be planning.
Oh, you cannot be mad at that at all, at all. You know what? Absolutely. You have to give props to the queen bee. She did her thing. Is she the queen bee? She's the queen bee, right?
She is. They call her the queen bee. Call her queen bee. It was fascinating.
And it was definitely a phenomenon to watch, employing her daughter, all the things. Dana is saying the power of clarity, planning, and team, several takeaways, 100%. You know, she was super clear on her mission. And yeah, that enterprise is rolling along, and you're 100% right. There's so many things we could take away from it.
I love how you talk about she used digital to stretch the moment. I loved how you encapsulated that. So she's able to take digital and use it, plan that content, keep that moment going. So very clear that's what moves her people, right? The moment.
I just love always be closing. Always be closing. She really maxed out her opportunities. And I wouldn't even say maxed out, because I'm sure there's still opportunities there. But just, using every opportunity to spread that message and really take that one piece of content. It's all coming back to one album. It's all coming back to one album. And she has been able to milk this. I mean, usually what I remember is that when you put out an album, you usually have like one tour. And then, by the next year, you move on to another one. But she has been able to, since last year, keep building this out. So when she releases that film in December, the film is going to be talked about in 2024, right? It's going to hit theaters, people. So she has been able to, and that would have stretched from 2022 to 2024. That's amazing.
Yeah. And what the other component that I thought was utterly fascinating too is how she made it personal. When she would move to a specific city, someone that she collaborated with, she brought on stage. They had their moment. Everybody was all in. It was just a local presence where people were utterly fascinated with her and did different things. When she was in Texas, Meg Thee Stallion came out. When she was in LA, Diana Ross came out, Kendrick Lamar came out. There were different people that were on stage. She touched different audiences. Their audiences were also posting things. So it was a moment of something that we speak to here all the time, in that what can you do organically? How much of this was really paid media that she really, really did? we speak to this all the time. What can you do organically to move your business forward, to gain a different audience, to expand and move your tentacles out a little further, to push forward a message that you're seeking in an audience that you've been looking to attain? And this was a class in it across multiple genres, across multiple age groups, in different classes, this was global. It was a global moment. So I thought it was just utterly fascinating in a business sense. Mind you, I didn't get a chance to go. I had, issues and had tickets in the Tampa. I was willing to fly across the country to go to the show, but nonetheless, it was a moment that I think from a business owner perspective that we could learn and implement in our worlds.
Oh, I love that. Another round of well, awesome. All right, so we have a jam-packed show today, so we're moving on to our Go Beyond the Like segment. This is the segment, yes, this is the segment where we kind of really take you beyond those likes and follows to how do you get to the heart of the digital? How do you get to the thing that actually gets you to achieving your business goals? And this story today is definitely super special to us. It's really empowering resilience and harnessing the power of digital tools in times of adversity with Jamila Bannister. Jamila is, our family, our friend, and she has an amazing story that she's going to share with us today and still tie it back to digital. So bringing to the stage, Can I get a drum roll, please? Miss Jamila Bannister, how are you? Welcome.
Hello and good morning, Bio Business in Digital family. I'm here. I'm good. Thanks so much for welcoming me again.
100%, always. You know what? You're family, so you're always here. So Jamila, introduce yourself and please tell the people who you are.
All right. Well, folks, I'm Jamila Bannister. Well, always known as the beauty brand CMO. That has been my area in terms of focus, but primarily a branding and a marketing professional who has really a deep love for all things beauty, which in and of itself is a little bit poetic given what is going on now, because the fight for beauty during this entire process is a big one. But I'm here. I'm a branding professional and a beauty enthusiast, and hopefully I can provide some insights into all the things I've been experiencing over the last, I would say, year. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for being here. And you know what? Let's jump right in. So talk a little bit about what you've been going through in this last year.
All right. Well, we all know it's October now, and it's typically the month for breast cancer awareness, among other things. It's one of the things. And over the last year, that has been a battle I have been fighting in terms of breast cancer. I mean, it's crazy when I think back on October of 2022. I never imagined I would be here October of 2023. And so if I could just kind of give you a quick timeline as to what happened. So over the last 6 months, I was saying about early May is when I experienced a diagnosis. And for the months prior to that, I had been investigating what seemed to be some strangeness in my own body without having any idea as to what it could be. Now, the interesting thing about what I experienced is that the type of breast cancer I've been diagnosed with is rare. It only affects 1 to 5% of women who actually are diagnosed. And the thing about it is there's no lump to find. So that's something that people should really be aware of. Not every cancer manifests in the same way. Some things manifest differently. So I think some of the big lessons inside of what I've been experiencing is to keep investigating, even though you might be getting answers that say, oh, it's fine. Oh, I'm not seeing anything for concern, that kind of thing. Self-advocacy is very important for you to keep going back, for you to keep investigating until you get an answer. and also just taking care of yourself completely. I think this time has really forced me to think about how do I give myself the best at all levels. And it's not just about getting to this month and examining yourself and checking. It's about holistically taking care of yourself 100% all the time, so that you can give yourself the best chance of, well, first of all, avoiding it, dodging it. You don't really want to get it. But at the same time, if you do, you give yourself the best chance of fighting it, because, I mean, you're at war a little bit here, and you really want your war chest to be strong as you go into to this kind of battle. But quite apart from the disease itself, there are other things, you want to take into consideration. Other things you want to take into consideration, and some of the things that I have discovered during this time is, I mean, marketing skills are really important during this time, because you bring out the communication, very, very important. And when I sat, in the moments, I probably wouldn't have been able to see it then, but as I sit and I look back, or I sat and I look back, I realize, I kind of did come up with a communications plan in the midst of it, deciding who would know, when they would know, what would they know, and allowing that to be a kind of guidepost for how I would manage as well. Because sometimes when you're inside of a very dynamic situation, questions are coming at you all the time. What about this? What about that? But you also seeking answers at the same time. You can't answer all the questions coming at you. You could only answer what you know, and you are learning as quickly as the people on the outside. So sometimes it's important for you to kind of keep yourself in a cocoon, in a bit of a bubble. So when I decided to kind of tell the story around this time, it's because I would have had the opportunity to spend the last 6 months thinking about what has been going on and how could I answer these questions in a way that allows me to teach people, educate people, without me draining my entire self, because of course I have to keep a piece of me for me, and but at the same time try to make some impact so somebody else could learn something. So this has been a complete revolution in terms of not just physical wellness management or disease management, but it's a complete psychological change as well, and a complete a reevaluation of the things that you value in life and the people and the relationships. It really is quite, the breadth and depth of it is a lot, and there's a lot to learn. So hopefully, during this time when I do share some stories and do share some things, the takeaways could apply to not just a person who may be dealing with something difficult, but also, if you're dealing something difficult in terms of disease, but in other scenarios as well. So hopefully that's the impact I can make around this time.
Well, I mean, this one, I've known for a while, and this has definitely been a blow, as you've been, but what I think I have to say is that watching you handle this with grace, watching you step back into a space of digital and sharing your story is beyond inspiring. I remember when we met, I started off mentoring you and I said this to you before, I feel like so many levels, like you become my mentor, and I've learned and see so much from you. And yeah, this is yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But and I'm glad I'm able to talk about, and I think one of the most important lessons for, I suppose, people to understand is that you have to take your time and get to the space where you can talk about things. That communication piece is important, because you don't want to, because people always talk about sharing your story, and they always talk about so many people could be helped, but you have to be comfortable enough to talk about it. So things can't be like raw when you're kind of sharing things. It has to kind of be a little scabbed over and a little healed, so to speak, in order for you to be able to bring things to the table, which is what was necessary. And, you know, of course, you know, some people would have been aware one-on-one, and all that time was a kind of strategy time, you know, because like when you're in the war room and you're preparing, you can't have the whole infantry inside of there, right? You just have to have a few key people who are there saying, okay, so we can do this, or we could take this approach, and that kind of thing. And I had when I many years ago when I was working on a job, I'm in touch with a boss of mine, an ex-boss, and she always said, "You're so academic with everything. You have to read a book. You have to do this. You have to do that." And I'm like, yes, that's how I have to process. I have to be kind of academic in the way I deal with things, because it allows me to understand. I kind of use building blocks to kind of provide some structure, right? Because quite apart from me needing structure, I think other people need structure too. Because some people, how do I help? But if you can't give them a structure within which to work, they wouldn't know how to actually help you. They may just overwhelm you, and emotions might run high, and you might get frustrated. So kind of taking charge of the situation is really important, and kind of reevaluating what's important. You know, do I really need to do this now? Could I take an extra few hours just to say, I can't do that. Life could be a little bit easy right now, you know. No more stress. Let me reduce my stress. All those things. The reevaluation in terms of what's important really does kind of come to the fore in a very, very huge kind of way. And particularly for and I want to keep it specific here, because cancer is so like wide and deep or whatever, it can go all over. I want to speak specifically to women with breast cancer, or at least with some type of cancer, and particularly to women who are reproductive age, which also has its implications, right? So like sometimes you may think about the life that you thought you were about to have, and then suddenly that life is not there anymore. You know, you have to kind of mourn the loss of what that might be. So like when I talk about fighting for your beauty, I always talk about the typical feminine markers that are under attack. All your hair is gone, your brows are gone, your lashes are gone, your boobs may be gone, they may be gone, you know, your reproductive system is gone, your fertility is under attack. So all of those things that typically will, you know, bring out that the softest feminine side, and you kind of like that's kind of gone. Like in 6 months, everything has disappeared. So now you have to kind of dig deep and think about, how do I fight for my beauty inside this time, which is why it's so, I don't know what to call it, that, you know, the beauty space is where I want to reside and where I reside. And now I'm that kind of just fighting to get my own lashes back. And like, I remember looking to see how new lashes fall out today. Oh my gosh. And now I have none, right? So you can see, right? I don't have any lashes left. And then I said, you know what? It is what it is. Let me just try to appreciate what I have for now. And I mean, I may have to draw my eyebrows on every morning, but that's okay. It is what it is. It will come back. So now you have to think about, how do I find beauty? How do I create that for myself now? How do I try to preserve what's left and create something, maybe a different way, but ultimately I think it's just kind of finding peace inside of the whole thing. And once you've mourned the loss of the thing that you thought you were going to have, think about, how could I do something differently to I guess accomplish the things that I want. There's so many ways to accomplish the same thing now. So it is. So yeah, we just keep pushing and we keep doing, you know?
Yes. Jamila, I am so happy to see you. So happy to see you. It is so many things that I want to say that I have to clean up in my brain before it comes out of my mouth. Yeah, cancer is disgusting and it sucks. And to see you coming forward and sharing your story with us, and the bravery that it takes one to tackle what you're tackling, but then to come forward and to share your story in the only Jamila way that I could expect it to be is a testament to the wonderful woman that you are. And the love and support that I saw come through in your community as people were commenting and reviewing your video across was heartening, but I said it was so Jamila, and look at her tribe come to the table and forward to support her. And then I thought of the business component of you. And I said, her branding is right there. Look at her with that her lipstick, and how she comes through, and that she has her branding component. I thought back to as I was watching the video on how you've always told us, for those in the community, Jamila is responsible for the branding that you see for my business with Lanyap Digital. She helped me to find my brand voice. And the things that you mentioned to us that came through a lot as you were telling this heartfelt story of your struggle, and how you're pushing through and fighting this fight, of how you told that story and how you made it relevant to all of us, and that here's the story, here's the lesson for you, here's your call to action in each one of these phases, as you told the story of your discovery of it, how long it took, the number of people that you touched. Think of this as you're going through, and you found the strength in you to keep the Jamila voice, but also tell that story and the lesson, and to pull us in, not because you were, trying to prove a point or anything, but to say, here's the lesson in this. Here's my story, learn from my story. Now, what are you going to do? But you maintain that Jamila voice in the beauty brand space. And I thought of so many ways that this is going to be beneficial to a number of audiences, not just your core, but a number of people that are going. So I'm hopeful that as you're speaking to this, that you're finding strength in this, and I don't want to say a distraction, but something that helps you to move things forward, because the community of people out here who are just your tribe are here for you and here to support you, but understand the lesson that you're teaching us as well in the business world, not just the beauty brand space, because I've always said when you shifted to that, I was still going to follow you and still stalk you, because I knew there were lessons in that for me in my line of business, because you're always teaching us regardless of who you've niched yourself down to. So we're here for you, and I said that in my message to you, but you are teaching us lessons in the midst of this fight that you're fighting, and we are appreciative of it.
Ooh. So we got some comments. Marlon Hill is like, look at God's grace and beauty. Juma is like, good morning. Hey, sis, literally.
Hi, gentlemen. Hi, Marlon. Hey, Juma. Oh, yeah, that was so, Michelle, that was preach, girl. Real testimony. And no, and it's so true, to be very honest in terms of the business component, right? Because of course, that's always when you've gotten over the emotional side of things, and you're like, you had your tears and you cried, and you spent your time, you read your books, you're like, okay, I've changed my diet, I've done this, I've done that. Okay, so how do we get back to kind of business now and make this make sense in the grand scheme of things, right? And of course, tomorrow's always there. Okay, we could do this, we could do that, we could do that, or whatever, kind of scheming and like, we want to do this and that kind of thing, And when I really think about it, it kind of comes back down to, because the whole orientation of what being, I guess, a beauty brand CMO for me has to kind of change. It's not the same practical. Okay, how do we sell this product? How do we sell that product? Probably the type of beauty I would like to focus on is different. It's more holistic. It's more, how do I bring this out in people despite as I say, the typical markers not being there? How do I leverage how do I touch women? How do I touch whatever audience I have beyond the product? How do I use that to kind of speak life into them? So the product is just like an addition, because I'll tell you this, right? So part of the story is right before, I would say maybe about a month and a half, no, not even a month and a half, let's say about a month prior to the actual diagnosis. I was working, doing a 9 to 5, strategically getting some cash injections, getting some experience, doing some stuff. And that job didn't work out, right? So by March, I was no longer at that particular position. And I said to myself, okay, so I have to figure out a way to, generate some more income until my next opportunity. So I decided to take some of the money I would have earned and invested it into doing some wigs and some hair. I know along the lines of beauty is what I wanted to do. And then between the time I actually had my first order and it actually arriving, I started to realize that I would probably end up being one of the people wearing a wig. I didn't start like that. I had never worn a wig in my life, right? At that point. So now, by the time it actually arrives, my head is in a spin. I can't really focus to market and do all the kinds of things. All I could do was turn around and just buy another wig and wear the wig. And that wig turned out to be probably one of the single biggest pieces of marketing material for the things I was selling. Because people would stop me, oh, I love your hair. Oh, it's so nice. Is that yours? I'm just like, these people don't know this is a helmet, a war helmet. These people don't recognize this as a protector for me. A protector for me just to like be able to go through my day while I trying to figure out my next steps. How am I going to have this conversation? How am I going to keep my peace? Right now, all they know is that they're seeing this hair, it looks really nice, and where can they get one? Right? And the intention didn't start off that way. I just literally just wanted something to cover my head because, you know, even the loss of hair in and of itself has its own trauma in it. You know, you have your full head of hair and then all of a sudden it's just start to fall out. You know, having that was something I said, this is the kind of impact you can make with beauty. It's not necessarily just selling a product. It really is tapping into a protector space. They're tapping into people's well-being with these products. So when I started to shift in terms of the way I viewed what a beauty business would be and how me strategizing could help somebody, how me strategizing, you could always tell the story. You could take it from this angle. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to just put out content only about this product focused thing. You know, it's really about how you could dig deep and hook that story and hook that what's the word I'm looking for? Or you can really kind of shape how you want to build that relationship with people beyond the product. And it kind of just made a full circle back into where I had always been. So now that I'm in a space, obviously, you know, I'm clearly gonna do my wigs because it's not even about just selling the wig and people seeing it and thinking, oh, she has on a weave. No, this really is quite powerful. And you don't know what you're doing for somebody when you actually help them restore some of the beauty they may have lost a disease, you know, or some of the normalcy they would know and they would be accustomed to in their life with a lipstick, redrawing their eyebrows, a strip of an eyelash, you know, some hair, whatever the case may be. Those things are really powerful just to make people feel just normal. Just normal, you know, like people are like watching, like, what's going on with this one? What's going on with that one? Like, you know, they just want to feel normal and they just want to just like relax, you know what I mean? So, the beauty business for me has definitely shifted in terms of how I expect it to be communicated about, what impact I would like it to have, and even the focus where I'd like it to be. You know, certain products really could really dig deep and really bring certain things out, make people feel safe, make people feel as though they're part of a community. And for me, that's the most important part. And if I could leverage the story that I have to help make an impact like that, not just on my brand but on other people, you know, I think I would have done a good job for everybody all around. Yeah.
That's bring out the tissues. But no, that is, you know, that is so beautiful. You know what you're trying to do. You know, share your story. You know, we always share stories because we want to connect with people, right? Whether it be connect with them to buy because you're looking at business, or just connect with them because you want to build a community and you want people to understand what you're going through. And I think, you know, the way that you're sharing your story, I like the fact that, you know, you now have almost like a beauty with purpose, or beauty with meaning now, because you want to connect to these people. That I like what you said, that you just want to be normal, because of, just like you said, whenever people don't look the way that normal, what we define as normal, there's always that extra 5 second stare. There's always that stare of, oh, wow, could that person have no hair? Could that person have no eyebrow? Right? And these are real medical conditions. I have a friend who she from a young girl, and I remember when I met her and I learned her story, she literally has no eyebrows. And every day she draws it, draws it on and stuff, right? And but that was, if you see her without makeup, she looks funny. So I could imagine you go outside and there's that extra 5 seconds stare, and not everybody wants that. That's not a comfortable feeling. And especially when the reason why you don't look a certain way is because of circumstances that are beyond your control, right? It could be an accident happened to you. It could be you're born that way, right? These things you can't control it. And you sharing your story and taking the spin of, let me speak to these people who just, they don't necessarily want to look like a movie star. They just want to look what we would say normal, so that they don't get that extra 5 seconds stay and have to explain to somebody what is going on with them. They just want to, I just want to go through a normal day looking like a woman, feeling like a woman, and being looked at as a normal woman, and not having to worry about my, or what appearance. I think that's really inspiring about what you're doing. And I really appreciate you coming to share these stories. Very beautiful, and I really, really hope that any action you take now would just help to propel your story and propel your products and your business.
Yes, thank you. I hope so too. For sure, for
Hello,
sure.
Jamila. It's so good to see you. It is so
Hi,
good to
Michael.
see you.
We have the same hairstyle, yeah. No?
Yeah, I mean, I'm like, when I saw the video, I was like, you look great. You look great, So
Yeah.
I love the non-pink perspective. I think you do what you do well. You capture stories absolutely well. You have a very strong brand voice, and that non-pink perspective cuts so deep. It cuts so
Yeah.
deep, right? Um, I am diagnosed bipolar, and I understand where that feeling of not feeling normal, because
Yeah.
somebody told you you have this,
Yeah.
and it's not a visible disease, but
Yeah.
it affects me the same way. So I like how you've captured that non-pink perspective and put it across as this is a fight. This is a war. But tell
Yeah.
us a bit about the products that are coming out of this.
The products. Well, you guys, okay, so several things. So you guys know I would have always had my book, uh, um, the brand print, right? And you know what? That book actually, a lot of the lessons that I would have written in that book, because personal branding really is almost like a timeless thing. Is They're still very relevant, and a lot of the lessons that I would have written about in that book, I am actually applying it to this scenario. Leveraging the community, connecting with people, telling your story, showing up with a point of view, and being able to add value in the midst of even challenge, right? So for me, one of the most important things is one thing to talk about, to tell what happened. Okay, I've been diagnosed. Okay, but how does that help anybody, right? So at the end of the day, when I decided to talk about this, right, it was done in a way where I say, how do I actually leverage this information to help others? Because I actually haven't gone through the process. I realize there are lots of people who just don't know. As much as people maybe, as much as I go to these clinics and there's like literally 100 people every time I go, and I don't go every day, but I know there's probably like 100 people a day in those clinics. There's still people coming every day saying, I didn't know this, I didn't know that. So the book, the brand print, I think still is so relevant in terms of personal brand and helping you kind of manage things as they kind of evolve through your life. So the brand print is still very much there. It's available on Amazon. As a matter of fact, I'm sure there will be a link somewhere around this interview where you can access it soon after. You can get it. There's still my digital products for the beauty world. The TikTok product, which is called 100 Ways to TikTok, to help you create content for your TikTok channel. For those of you who are in Trinidad and Tobago right now, of course, you can access the wigs. And another thing I really want to encourage people to do, right? So the non-pink perspective really came out of me feeling a little frustrated because I keep seeing people trying to sell these pink things. And I don't know what money from those pink things actually reaches people who are, I say under the gun, because right now you're under the gun, you're in treatment until you've been declared NED, right? No evidence of disease, you are under the gun, right? You need to be continuing to fight and to do the things you need to do. So one of the things that I felt could be impactful was doing like consultations for wigs for persons, because sometimes you've never worn a wig before. I had never worn a wig before, and sometimes people are not sure where to start. And so if you want to like make an impact with that, you could, sponsor somebody a wig, they could book a session with me, and the session itself is free. All the session is designed to do is to help you understand, okay, what style of wig you might like, what kind of thing might work for you, and then we can decide, okay, what type of wig you would purchase. And at that point you could decide, I will decide, okay, I will get these for you. I will look for some options. I will give you that white glove treatment. So I think these may be good for you based on your style. It's almost as though it's a consultation. If you want to support people in that way and support me in that way, that's something you could do, and you can access that via the link as well. So those are some of the things that you could do to support. People have been asking me about donations. You could do that if you want to as well. My PayPal link will be on that link. For people international, for people local, my bank account is there as well, right? So you can feel free to donate and give in that way. But certainly, in terms of keeping, from a business point of view, digital products are available, wigs are available for purchase, and and you could always sponsor somebody a wig. And let me just say this, right? There are other things I would encourage people to do. Again, please don't waste your money buying pink ribbons. They do nothing, right? Here's what you can do. For those of you who are international, for me, they're not in Trinidad and Tobago, deal with somebody directly. If you want to help somebody, deal with them directly. Maybe deal with a patient. Find a nonprofit in your area and help them. Locally, there are nonprofits like the Associates of the Radiotherapy Center. These people come every morning. They give breakfast to the people in the clinic. People come from very far, very early hours before sunrise. Most times they're coming, they haven't eaten. These people actually spend money. They make sandwiches, teas, they give water. Many times they're taking tablets all day. You would not believe how a little bottle of water comes in handy to take your pills on site, right? Give to them. If you would like to support, the vast majority of us in TNT will receive our cancer care through the public system, whether it's in part or in full. They could always use more wheelchairs. People always need help. The chairs in the waiting area, guys, we need a couch set just for us to sit, for your family to sit and wait, right? The chairs in the clinic area, they could do with a refresh. The air conditioning, guys, right now, I'm boiling when I go for chemotherapy. I'm boiling. Can somebody fix it? It's not going to cost that much. These are the things that they could make a small act can make a big impact, because it can really affect. Help somebody learn how to use rideshare apps, because when people come from far, there are people who price gouge, and they will charge them so much money to bring them to the clinic in Port of Spain. Teach them, top up their TT rideshare wallet, put $200 in it for them, so their transport costs could be managed. They could book their rides beforehand. If they have to carpool, they could say, okay, well, I could cover the cost of the Uber, the TT rideshare this morning, right? Those are small things you could do. Some people don't even know how to use an app. So when you download and you show them, you could use this to order a ride, and you put $200 in your transport wallet for you. Those are the things that can actually help. Do not buy T-shirts. They help nobody. I'm just saying that. Maybe they do, but I don't know where the money goes, right? And for me, when it's difficult to make the connection between where the money is being spent and the people actually receiving it, for me, so my perspective has to be non-pink in that way. It's important for the connection to be made directly, and it has to make sense ultimately. So if you want to go straight to the source, go straight to the to the clinics, go straight to the centers where they're treatment and ask and seek support in that way, to straight to the organizations who may be helping out. There's another organization. If you really want to take it deep, there's an organization that offers a course where you can become a patient advocate and you could actually support people in that way. If you would like to do that, right? It's a 2-week course online. It's not very heavy. I plan to do the course as well. And you could decide, okay, my contribution will be, I will have a meetup once a month on Zoom, just for people to be able to talk and share. These are the practical things that you could do to support people, not the other stuff. I'm just saying.
And that's what even makes that non-pink perspective even more powerful, right?
Yeah.
Understanding the challenges in Trinidad, and some of the challenges are echoed even here in North America because of the size, just because of the number of people. So the time it takes to get an appointment and so on. And as you say, listening to that video, I think you encapsulated that voice so well, right? Because I immediately saw all the pink ribbons. I immediately saw all the pink shirts. And to be able to define that and say, hey, this is not all pink. this is not all pink. So I mean, my brain goes wild, with being able to use these digital platforms to do all the things that you're saying, to educate in a new way, to refresh, maybe that's the word, to refresh this topic, refresh this discussion, and bring it into where it is in 2024, right? But great stuff. Your class and style just comes through 100%. So I will stop there before I get teary-eyed.
That's Mike. Yeah.
Marlon is saying, so a few comments. Dana is like, she loves the non-pin perspective. It really stood out. Alison is saying, good morning, everyone. God is able to write the next chapter. Jamila, you're a blessing. And Marlon is saying, tell us about the support system and your caregivers.
All right. Support system. Okay, so guys, that is a word. So let me tell you. In terms of support system, and I'm actually going to be dropping a video, if not today, tomorrow, talking about support systems, right? So one of the most important parts about, especially in the early parts of, I suppose, being diagnosed with a disease like this is knowing and understanding the critical nature of having the people to do emotional labor with you. And when I say emotional labor, the people who are going to stay with you, not the people who are going to just drop it off by the hospital and then say, okay, well, call me when you're ready, or let me know when you need me. No, you need people who are going to sit with you, spend the hours, who are going to listen. When the doctor talks about certain things, they're going to listen. They're going to be the ones that are taking notes. You need those people. And you don't need a whole lot. You probably just need one or two. And for a lot of people, that may not even be a family member. That may be a friend. That may be somebody you have to connect with through the support services of wherever you're being treated, maybe a hospital, maybe whatever center that you're at. I know internationally there are support systems like that here. There are provisions for that as well through the social work department at the hospitals. So it's important to have those. Fortunately for me, my biggest supporter was and continues to be my mother. She is a survivor. She knows what having to walk through this thing is like, and she was really soldiering through it. From the time I told her, because initially it's a little bit tough, was a little bit tough. I'm like, how's she gonna take this, right? Because you're kind of worried about. Everybody's trying to protect everybody's feelings. How is she going to take this when I tell her that, the doctor said it could be potentially this? Like, it took me some hours after even getting home that day. And I think she observed that I just came home from the doctor and said nothing. And she was like, you didn't go for a procedure? Like, what was going on with that? Like, how come you didn't tell me anything, And then I told her, I said, well, this is what he said. And of course, she immediately starts Googling, Dr. MD on Google MD, she is there Googling, looking and that kind of stuff. And after that, I didn't say, well, I need you to go with me. She's like, okay, so when is our next appointment? When is the next appointment? And I know for me, that is like an enormous blessing in and of itself to have had somebody like that, because there are many people who don't have that. And it started there, and then it started to mushroom out into other immediate members of my sister, my brother, eventually my father, and that kind of thing. And then I started to include, like, close friends, and like Tamara's one of those people, and other close friends who would have been there, who may or may not have observed a drastic change in my behavior at the time. Because I was just like silent. There's no communication for me at all, which I'm sure we all know is unusual for me just not to be like available at all, and eventually those support systems, fortunately for me, I had those people, and I had those people who also would have been able to keep a level head. So, like, they can't be breaking down more than me. Like, I can't have that because it's too much of it, they have to be like the ones to be like, okay, so what are we going to do about this? Or what's the next step? Or what do you need? Or how can we support? And, having those types of people are really important. And you may not have those people built into your life, which is why I say one of the most important things during this time is reevaluating the types of relationships you've built in your life and the people you have around you. And it may be a clue into the type of life that you actually want, right? So, I mean, given everything that there is, and when you come out on the other side of it, it may really force you to think about, reevaluate, how do I build relationship with people, and how do I fix the things in me that affect the way I engage with people as well? Because some people don't even know how to build relationship. They only when they're in a jam they realize, damn, like, there's nobody around, and it may not necessarily be because people weren't around. It's just that you probably wouldn't take any time to connect with people anyway, so people won't take any time to connect with you. So having that support system was really key. Caregivers, and because of course I could be kind of stubborn too. I'm just like, I have to do this myself. I have to keep. And even now, like yesterday, I learned the hard way that I can't do more than one activity in a day because I'm just like, I'm ready to pass out, right? So I have to take my time. If I exercise, I can't go out on coffee dates and all those things because it's just too much movement. It's just too much. My knee ready to give out. I'm ready to like, it's just too much, right? So yeah, you also kind of have to evaluate yourself and say, okay, you really can't. Your body is in a bit of a compromised state at this stage, right? So you're looking at the outside, but there are so many things happening on the inside that will make you know that you are not your fullest self. So even in that, you kind of accepting that you're in a different space to albeit temporary, sorry, you kind of have to accept those things. So building that support system, having those key people around you, working on a relationship, it really is not just an external thing, but it forces you to look at the type of person that you are and the life that you have lived and the way that you have built. And if you haven't done it before, hopefully it opens your eyes for you to kind of do it when you have a chance and fix those things. Yeah.
All right. Well, Molly, like all negative energy people must go.
Gotta go.
Right. Jamila, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for doing this. Thank you for, just starting to share your journey. I know that wasn't easy to just get in that headspace and to be so eloquent, so beautiful, makeup on point. Really, really appreciate you. And you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Like, yo, let's just keep living. And we are here, whatever you need from us, your business in digital, Monovan Digital, Lani App Digital, your virtual CFO. We got you. We want to make sure that also you guys connect with Jamila, right? Connect with her on her LinkedIn, her Twitter, her Facebook. There, she will also drop her links to her digital products. I really want to employ you to, check out those digital products while you can give a donation. The brand print, that book is awesome, 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 and there's so much value in it. As the summits go up, as the other things go up, look at the content. Jamila always has great content. The 100 Ways to TikTok. When I first saw that, I was just like, what? You're a genius. Right. So, check everything out. And, as she moves forward with, sponsoring a wig, I think that is so important that, we help in ways that make sense. Right. And, just keep making it make sense, help in ways that make sense. So definitely connect with her. Don't inundate her, but make sure and connect with her, buy those products, get there and help, because this is how she's going to now really move forward and sustain herself. And, we want to be there. We want to be a part of that. So Jamila, thank you for joining us.
Of course. Thank you so much, ladies and gents.
So good to see you.
Glad to see you this morning. Take it easy. We will talk very soon. Yeah. Oh man, guys, today was a show.
This was awesome. Despite the fact that I did wear pink, I did wear pink, but I love that non-pink perspective. And I can tell you, as somebody who I have my own NGO, and you see how she broke down those practical things the ways that you can help people. I loved how she broke it down, because that has been the key thing when you have these situations like this. The easiest thing for people to do is the outward, right? It's to buy the pink ribbon and it's to buy the pink jerseys and do those things, right? But I love how she broke down those very practical ways to help. I mean, it speaks to you as a person. If you know somebody in your community who is fighting cancer, go and help them and say, hey, how can I help you today? Do you need to pay for a taxi? I'll pay for the taxi for you to get to your treatments for this month. How many treatments it is, 3, 4, whatever the case may be. It's time that that was really, really eye-opening. And I love the way that I hope to see that the pink perspective take on a life of its own. And
what I really enjoy about this, and I think as the transition component that Jamila is going through for the community that we have here that's listening to us, and those that have been in her world, is to understand, if you've not met Jamila before and this is your first time, pay attention. Go back and listen to the Lipstick Effect, that audience that she has there. Listen to when she's been on this show and the branding help that she's given to all of us that's here. Because sooner or later, probably sooner rather than later, Jamila's going to be back and you're going to want her help, because she is going to help you to elevate your business and move it forward. So in the meantime, get to know and like and trust her by going to view her information, along with supporting her business by, as she said, that she's got a number of avenues, a number of things that you can participate in this realm to help to fight cancer, but also to help to move you and your business and someone else forward, because that is her intent as well, is to keep moving forward, to get healthier, get a message out, but to do it in a way that is also fruitful for her and all of us in a business perspective. So she's spreading her tentacles, and there are a number of ways that we're not just supporting her, but we're helping ourselves too.
And get them products before she increases the prices.
Exactly. Because that's going to be my next thing that I'm going to message. Sure, you might want to.
And not to make it too big of a point, but Jamila said it right. Your business in digital has always been about driving revenue for your business. So she spoke to Tamara, and Tamara immediately gave her like 5 ways to get revenue, right? So we are about that. We are about this digital life,
right.
Bring it to bear in every situation possible.
I literally WhatsApped her an option too for a pivot in marketing on something. I was like, oh, I've got several ideas. You need some ideas to help us out. I got some for you.
Yeah, once she got here, it was just like, all right, cool, let's go. And it's not scheming, it's just business development.
It is, it's business development. You're very clear on how digital moves her forward. Very clear.
It's the pivot and it's a niche. We can make this happen. Come on through. We've got you.
All right. Well, we got some housekeeping to do before we head out. Don't forget to check us out, follow us everywhere, follow us on LinkedIn, follow us on YouTube, connect with us, subscribe, listen to the show, tell a CMO, tell a CFO, tell a CEO, any business executive, tell them about the show, because we really help you connect the dots in digital. We are everywhere podcasts are, right? So we are on Spotify, we're on Apple, we're on Amazon, so check us out there as well too. We want to make sure that you can really translate everything that you're doing offline to digital. We want to see you really get to that place of money in the bank through your digital activities. We know that you spend a lot of money on digital. We want you to see the ROI. So that's why we do the show. We make sure that we have all the key stakeholders of a business here, right? So we have sales in the building, we got finance in the building, we have operations in the building, and of course we have marketing in the building. So super important that you share this information. We are your business in digital. This was an awesome show. Jamila, thank you again for joining us. Thank you for sharing your story. We wish you all success on this journey. And we are here to support you all the way through. Have an amazing, amazing, amazing day, guys. Take care. Bye.